Hello, this video is a response to Mynoo100. He put forward an anti-European, moderate anti-European stance that they didn't want to join the Euro and he didn't want to join the European Armed Forces. He said that he didn't want to join because the pound were able to control in this country to suit our own purposes. Well, that is not strictly true, because the central bank, the Bank of England, controls the money supply in this country, and it is not voted upon by Parliament. The issuance of money thus is controlled by a few men who are not under the democratic system, and they change the currency for their own purposes. So therefore, what is the difference between that and being in the European Union's central bank? But at least the central bank is under the oversight of the European Commission, which does vote on everything that is put forward, the earmarks of spending, and also the increase and decrease in money supply. In fact, just as the Chancellor would expect a letter from Mervyn King, the head of the Bank of England, if inflation didn't meet its 2% target. Just the same system would happen within the EU. So what would be the major difference? Okay, now on the issue of joining the European Armed Forces, we can say that the majority of people in the European Union speak English, and the language of the army would be English, and thus we would also have standardised British Army training and probably standardised British Army weapons, although some German and French and Italian and weapons would be put in. Now, you said that this was a reason not to do this, but to me this is a reason to have a standardised European armed forces, and it would also make it also shows that the same arguments are used for and against the Euro by both camps, that I would like the European Union to be a hyperpower, because that would mean that the European Union could borrow money and through European Treasury bonds, which it can't at the moment, as one unit, the European Union. And the reason for this is because we are continually having to pay for American crises, which are caused by the Federal Reserve System producing too much money, because they know that they can use that money to buy oil and then invest they then ask the Arabs and oil producing countries to invest that money in American banks, so therefore they get oil for free, essentially. Now, this being from your anti-American viewpoint, surely is a bad thing for Europe and for Britain. On the issue of European currency, the euro is a strong currency. 40% of all the world's money is held in euros. Also, if the pound and the euro were to merge together, that would be the two largest financial centres, and thus if the value of the euro thus increased, then surely that we would be able to import more cheaply, as Britain is an import-led country, as you said. But I would like Britain to be an export, to have a balance of imports and exports, and that's what you're supposed to have, and that's what Germany has. Germany, and because of Germany being the largest exporter, the European Union is the largest exporter in the world. We also have to look at the effects of having to fight against terrorism in the form of the Saudi and Bin Laden crime families, and also the influence of China in the world, especially in Africa, which is Europe's back garden, basically, I should say. Right, now, on the next issue, how would a united Europe function? Well, we have the Lisbon Treaty, which allows for secession of countries, which you mentioned. And you mentioned that only France and Germany are the main countries that the Euro works for. Well, that's not true. The university systems of Britain and Germany were the ones who invented the European Union. And so this is why there is this movement. In fact, I would say that Britain has a great deal of influence in Europe, and over Europe itself. If anything, this would be an Anglophone empire, more than a Roman Empire, in the form of the European Union, and it would be a hyperpower. It would be more powerful economically and militarily eventually than the United States and China, and thus Europe would be the top dog by 2030 or 2050 if we went down this route to a united Europe. We would want to be the freest and most equitable kind of hyperpower. But you mentioned a correct analysis here, that if we were a hyperpower, we would be a target for terrorism. Well, we're already a target for terrorism, and we have to deal with the problem of families, of crime families, being as powerful as nations, such as the Bin Ladens and such as the Saudis. That is a major problem in this world that needs to be dealt with, and only a united Europe can do this. So thank you for your video response, and I really do welcome it. You made some very good points, and I'd like to continue this discussion. Thank you.